What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hello and welcome. In today's video, we are going to be creating two looks with the newest eyeshadow palettes from Beauty Bay. So up first, we have the Celestial Charms palette. This is their 20 pan palette. It does retail for $20, and I love the color story in this one. This is a very me color story with the plums and the purples. I love the additions of the greens and this orange shade down here, and I really appreciate that the mattes in this palette go from really light to really dark. But I will say, just kind of looking at this first glance, I do feel like there's a little bit of color overlap in this palette, especially when it comes to these two shades right here and these two down here. Now, I haven't played with this, I haven't swatched it out, so maybe they come off different on the skin than they look in the pan, but still, aside from that, you cannot beat the price point for the quality that you're getting. Beauty Bay has a fantastic formula, and I really do enjoy it, and I'm excited to play with this one. But this collection also includes this cute little mini 9-pan palette. So this is the Mini Charms palette. This one retails for $13, and it is full of beautiful shimmer shades. I love the addition of this palette to the bigger palette. It gives you a little bit more variety. Maybe you just want the shimmers and you don't need the mattes and you just want a little extra sparkle to add to your collection. I think this is super cute, and I'm excited to play with this today. We're going to incorporate it into some of these looks with this palette. Now, as of now, both of these palettes are still currently available on the Beauty Bay website, but they are limited edition. So once they're gone, they're not coming back. So if you've got your eye on them and you want to, go ahead and snag them while they're still available. I will have both of them listed and linked down below in the description box, as well as everything else that I use in today's video to complete my looks. So per usual, if you're ever curious about anything I use in any of my videos here on my channel, always check the description box. I squeeze as much information as I possibly can into that tiny little space. But without further ado, let's go ahead and zoom in, get my hair out of my face, prime my eyes, and start creating our looks. Alright, y'all, so let's go ahead and dive in and start creating our first look. So I want to play with the purples and the plums, and then maybe for the second look, we'll dive into the greens and this orange shade down here. So to start us off, I'm going to go in with this really pretty kind of dusty mid-tone purple shade down here. This one is called Cassiopeia. Now, I have already primed my eyes with my MAC paint pot in the shade Painterly per usual. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that shade up with a Morphe M504 brush, and I'm going to start by kind of pressing this in to my crease and building up the depth and the definition that I want. And once I have that shade down, I'm going to go back and forth with blending motions and kind of start to spread that shade out, buff it out a little bit, soften it so it's not so harsh. But look at how beautiful that is. Instant pigmentation, very easy to apply, to kind of blend out. I'm not getting patching, skipping, I'm not getting any fallout, and there's not really any kick up in the pan either. Like I said, Beauty Bay has a beautiful matte formula, and I'm not just saying that for the price point, I'm just saying that across the board. Like, you cannot beat the quality for how much their palettes are. Alright, so next I want to go into this cream colored shadow right here. This one is called Lunar, and I'm going to pick that one up with a Game Beauty EO6 brush, and I'm just going to kind of go along the edges of that first shade that I put down. I just kind of want to lighten them up just a little bit, have them blend a little bit better into my skin tone. Now, if you're darker than me, you can absolutely go in with like your setting powder or any other shade that you have that's going to be a better match to your skin. I just want to kind of soften this the tiniest bit. I'm not trying to get rid of a lot of that shade. I'm not trying to make it disappear. I'm just trying to make sure that I've got a good blend into my skin tone. Alright, so next I want to go into this purple shade right here. This one is called Lyra. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with a Singe Beauty EO6 brush, and I'm just going to kind of build up my outer corner just a little bit. So I'm going to start by packing that shade out here. I'm not swiping or blending or anything like that. I just want to build up the intensity and the shape that I want. And once I have everything kind of where I want it, I can go back with kind of the edge of my brush and really kind of disperse everything, soften it, blend it, get rid of any harsh lines, and just kind of move that shade around a little bit. Alright, so I did get a little bit of fallout right here, and I want to try a trick that I saw on Instagram from Rose and Ben's page. If you follow her, you know who I'm talking about, and you've probably seen this trick before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of my setting powder. This is just my translucent one from Kristen Dominique Cosmetics, and I'm going to pick it up with a clean spoolie brush. And what she does is she coats the brush really well, and then she kind of goes in and fluffs it away. And it's supposed to get rid of everything without making a big old mess. I've never tried this before. I always forget every time I get fallout, but look at that. It did leave a tiny bit of a cast, but I'm pretty sure if I were to go back with like maybe my little puff, we're gonna find out, but if I were to go back in with my little puff and kind of go over top, I think it's gonna kind of rectify the situation. Yeah, that did a really good job. Okay, cool little tip. We learned something new, but let's go ahead and move on. So I do want to deepen up this outer corner just a little bit before I jump into the lower lash line. So I'm going to go in with this black shade up here. This one is called Omen, and I am going to pick that up with my Morphe M506 brush, and I'm very lightly going to build up a little bit of depth out here in my outer corner. I don't want it to get away from me or take over the look. I just want this tiny little bit of depth right out here in the outer corner, and I am going to bring it down onto the very outer portion of my lower lash line as well. I'm not getting any fallout with this black shade, so that's really nice, but this looks really good so far. I'm loving the depth that I'm getting with this palette. All right, so for the rest of the lower lash line, I think I want to go in with this shade up here. It's this really pretty, like, cool tone plummy purple shade. This one is called Andromeda, and I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with an Unearthly UC8-7 brush. It's just a really, like, fluffy brush, and I'm just going to very whimsically kind of fluff this along my lower lash line. I don't want it to be super pigmented. I kind of want as much of a wash of this color as I can possibly get, but I want that little pop of coolness on the lower, or warmth on the lower lash line. I don't know why I said coolness. Did I say that this was a cool tone shade? I hope I didn't. If I did, I meant warm tone shade, but that is very pretty. All right, so for all over the lid, I think I want to do a combination of these two shades right here. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this really pretty champagne-y gold shade. This one is called Stardust. So I have already primed my eyes with my NYX glitter primer per usual, and I'm going to start out by picking that Stardust shade up with my BK Beauty 203 brush. I am going to spray this with some MAC Fix Plus, and I'm going to start out by putting this all over my lid, and then maybe we'll go back in with that purple shimmer shade and kind of put it out here where the matte and the shimmer are going to meet, and then we'll pop into that little palette, the little companion palette for an inner corner. Ooh, that's really pretty. That is gorgeous. Nice and reflective, very smooth. It picked up really nicely, and I'm not getting any fallout. It's not emphasizing texture. It's going on beautifully. So next I'm going to go into this purple shimmer shade right here. This one is called Cosmos. I'm going to pick that up with my same BK Beauty brush that I just used. I just wiped it off really good, and I'm going to spray it with some MAC Fix Plus once again, and we're going to put this right where the matte and that gold shimmer shade meet, just so we have a nice blend. We don't have a harsh line. I don't want anything to be super harsh. I want it to be nice and blended. Yeah, that is really pretty. It has a nice blue undertone to it as well. It adds a nice little pop of coolness to this warm eyeshadow look. All right, so for the inner corner, we're gonna dig into this little mini Charms palette. This does have a little plastic overlay that goes over top that has the shade names. So I think what I wanna do is I wanna go in with this shade right here. It's like this really pretty white to gold flip shade. This one is called Milky Way. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick that one up with my Singe Beauty EO1 brush. And again, I'm gonna spray it with my MAC Fix Plus per usual, just so I don't get any fallout, and it has a little something to stick to. And we're gonna pop this right here on the inner corner. I'm hoping this blends nicely and it's not too harsh, but I think this is going to be a beautiful little accent right here in the inner corner. Oh yeah, that is absolutely beautiful. Look at that reflection, look at that flip, look how it really kind of picked up that purple tone when I put it down. All right, y'all, so this is the first completed look with this palette, and I think this turned out really pretty. I like the combination of the warm tone and the cool tone purples with that little pop of gold, and this really pretty sort of iridescent shimmer on the inner corner just added the finishing touch. But let me show you what I used to finish up this look so we can start creating our second look with this palette. So in my lower waterline, I went in with a Victoria Beckham Satin Kajal liner. This is in the shade Gold Lame. I lined my lid with my ZC liquid liner and finished everything off with my Huda Beauty One Coat Wow mascara. But let's go ahead ahead and pop back into this palette so we can do our second look. So for this one, like I said, I really want to play with this green over here and this pop of orange. So where do I want to begin? I think I want to start with this shade up here. This one is called Prophecy. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that one up with, let's go in with this brush right here. This is a BK Beauty 201 brush, and I'm going to start by very lightly going into my crease and kind of building up the depth and definition. Basically the same thing I did in the first look. I'm going to do the same technique, just different colors, but I want to see if I can get a lighter wash of this shade. It does have a little bit of like a cool tone brown undertone to it, so I'm hoping that if I kind of like fluff it out really good, it'll hang on to a little bit more of that cool tone brown than the true purple that it has. Okay, so next I want to go into this deep jewel tone green shade over here. This one is called Zodiac. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that one up with my Kristen Dominique eye and nose contour brush. And I'm going to build up my outer corner with this shade. But I'm going to go in very light-handed. I don't want to get any fallout. And I'm pretty sure there might be a little bit with this one if I go in too heavy-handed. But I'm just going to start to press this in my outer corner, building up the shape, the depth, the tone that I want. And then again, once I have that shade where I want it, I can go back and start to blend it out, blend everything together, soften up those edges, and give me a nice seamless look. I'm going to take that shade down onto the lower lash line as well, but I'm not going to bring it all the way over. I'm just going to line it up with what I have going on the lid, and I'm not bringing it down very far either. I'm almost tight lining, but I am kind of blending it out just a little bit. Alright, so now that I have that shade down and where I want it, I'm taking that same brush, no extra product. In fact, I kind of wiped it off a little bit, and I'm just very softly going right along the edge and just kind of blending everything out, softening that line so we don't have any harshness to this look. So next I'm going to go back into this black shade up here called Omen. I'm going to pick it up with the same brush that I used in the first look, which is my Morphe M506 brush. And once again, I'm going to build up just a little bit of depth right here in the outer corner. Now you could skip this step because this shade is dark enough, but I just want to see how these shades are going to build up on each other, if they're going to start to fluff away, do anything weird, and if you can build up a little bit more depth on this green shade. And 100% you absolutely can. Alright, so now I want to go back in with that first shade that I used in the crease called Prophecy, and I'm just going to blend it on the rest of my lower lash line, kind of overlapping a little bit of that green shade, giving me a nice cohesive look, and then we'll go ahead and pop into the shimmer. Alright, so for this look, we're going to go into this really pretty orange shimmer shade down here. I can't resist it. It was the first one that caught my eye when I opened up this palette, and that shade is called Comet. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that one up with my BK Beauty 203 brush, and I am going to spray it with some Matte Fix Plus, and we're going to put this all over the lid. I think it's going to be a beautiful combination up next to the green and that kind of dusty lilac shade. So I'm going to go ahead and start by pressing it all over the lid, and then once I have that shade down where I want it, I can go back and start to blend it in so we don't have any harsh lines and it's a little bit seamless. Oh, that is so pretty. Next, I want to go in with this green shimmer shade right here. This one is called Astral. I'm going to pick it up with my same BK Beauty 203 brush that I've been using to apply shimmers, and I'm just going to put that right where the matte and the shimmer shade meet, so we have a little bit more of a blend right there, just because if I start to bring that orange shade over, it's really going to start to mud out and it's not going to blend very well. So I'm just going to take that shimmer and very lightly, just like I did in the first look, pat it right over top where those two shades come together, and then lightly blend everything. Alright, so before I do the inner corner, I want to pick up a little bit of this shade right here. This one is called Infinity, and what I want to do is kind of put it right here on my lid where it's kind of mudding up and not blending the way that I quite want it to. So I'm just going to pick that up with my finger. I'm not going to use a brush for this, and I'm just going to very lightly kind of tap right here, and that should give me a better blend. Yeah, 100% much better. Alright, so for my inner corner, I'm going to take that same shade that I just put on the center of my eye called Infinity. I went ahead and picked it up with my Singe Beauty EO1, sprayed it with some Matte Fix Plus, and I'm going to pop this in to my inner corner. I think it's going to go really beautifully and kind of tie everything together. Alright y'all, so this is the second completed look and I think this one turned out beautiful as well. I'm not gonna lie though, I was a little nervous when I had the green and the orange shimmer shade on the lid and they weren't quite blending the way that I wanted them to, but the shade from the little companion palette really came to the rescue and kind of blended everything together perfectly. Now to finish off this look in my lower waterline, I went in with a Haus Labs liner. This is in the shade Sienna Matte. I lined my lid with my ZC liquid liner and once again finished everything off with my Huda Beauty One Coat Wow mascara. Alright y'all, so there you have the two completed looks with the newest palettes from Beauty Bay, and based off of first impression, I thought the quality was great in both of these palettes. Obviously, I didn't get to play with every single shade in both of them, but based off of what I did get to play with, I didn't really have any issues. Now, I did get the tiniest bit of fallout with that purple matte shade on this look over here. For the most part, it fluffed away. I do have the slightest little purple cast under my eye, but it's not really enough to bother me, and obviously, if you do your eyes before your base makeup, it's not going to be an issue for you at all. Maybe I need to go in lighter handed, maybe I need to powder my under eyes a little bit better. I will keep y'all posted on all of that in a future palette ranking video. But as far as patching and skipping goes, I didn't experience any of that. They were nice and pigmented, they blended out beautifully as well, and I really like the way that my eye looks turned out. The shimmers in both of these palettes I thought were beautiful as well. Obviously I didn't get to every one either, but they are very pigmented, they go on really nicely. I didn't get any emphasizing of texture, I didn't get any fallout, and I think they look very reflective and beautiful on the eye. Now obviously these are not going to be big multi-chromes or duochromes or anything like that, but some of them do have a little bit of a flip to them, a little bit of a shift, and there are some really pretty colorful sparkles in some of these as well. But let's kind of chat about the Celestial Charms palette first, and then we'll go into the mini charm palette. So first of all, I think the packaging is very pretty. It's very simple, very sleek, but I do like it. It is the good sturdy Beauty Bay packaging that we all know, and I think the color story in here is really pretty as well. This is a very dark color story though, even though we have this one lighter matte in here that you could 100% go in and kind of mix with some other shades and lighten them up. For the most part, you're going to get very dark, smoky looks with this palette, which is fine if that's what you're going for. Personally, I would have preferred a little bit more lightness in this palette. Maybe one of these two shades right here could have been a lighter purple, and maybe one of these right here could have been a lighter green or like a lighter like burgundy shade. I'm not saying pastels or anything like that, but just something a hair lighter to give a little bit more depth to my looks. But other than that, I think it's very pretty. I like the shimmers in here. I like the shade selection in here. And I think this is a fun little palette. Now the Mini Charms palette I think is really cute. I love this little palette. It is so incredibly tiny. Like look how small that is compared to the full size palette. But I do really like the shade selection in here as well. I think it adds just a little extra pop to the original palette. A little something to kind of bring in. Maybe you don't like the matte shades in the other palette and you just want a little companion palette to add to your collection. This is a really cute one. I like the two shades that I played with. They went on really nicely. They were creamy. I didn't get any fallout. They're nice and reflective, and they do have like a little bit of a shift going on with them, and I do really appreciate that we got this little overlay with the shade names. Obviously, if you're not really interested, you could throw that away, but for me, very helpful. So overall, I think this is a really cute collection. I enjoyed playing with it. I enjoyed creating these looks, and I'm excited to have it in my collection. But that is going to complete this video. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Let me know all of your thoughts down below. Did you pick up this collection? Did you pick up both palettes? One of them? What did you think of the looks? Which one was your favorite? I want to know it all. Let's have that conversation. Light up that comment section, and as usual, I want to thank you all so much for watching my video and spending your time with me. It truly does mean so much to me. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up before you leave. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on that notification bell so that you can be notified of all my future posts here on my channel. I do post quite a few videos every single week, and I wouldn't want you to miss one. But until my next video, have a good one. Bye.